Hello and welcome to another episode of 15 Minutes of Freedom. I am Justin Haskins, Editor-in-Chief of StoppingSocialism.com and columnist at FoxNews.com, as well as Editorial Director at the Heartland Institute. Thank you for joining me. Before we get started, please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching us on YouTube, Stopping Socialism TV. Also go to our Facebook channel, our Facebook page, Stopping Socialism. And follow us, share our content, go to StoppingSocialism.com. We need your support, and the best, easiest, freest way to do that is to just subscribe to our social media channels. We really, really appreciate it. If you're watching me via YouTube, you can tell that I'm wearing sweats. Please forgive me. Obviously, we're still all trapped in COVID-19 hell, so I'm at home, and I didn't have time to change because I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on, but I saw this great article, and I wanted to make a video right away to talk about it because it's really fantastic, very, very interesting, and I want to talk about it because it's a really important issue. It's on a website called Campus Reform. Campus Reform is a project of the Leadership Institute, a fantastic organization. Campus Reform, a fantastic publication. It deals with issues on campus from a pro-liberty perspective. The article was written by Celine Ryan, a contributor, a correspondent editor at Campus Reform, and it's titled, "United Against China, College Dems Join College Republicans and Demand to Close All Chinese, quote, propaganda centers on campus." The story talks about how the National College Democrats and the National College Republicans have actually come together and produced a letter to call on all academic institutions across the country to close Confucius Institutes. Now, for those of you who don't know what Confucius Institutes are, they are essentially Chinese Communist Party propaganda centers. That's essentially what they are. This has been verified by a whole bunch of organizations, both non-government organizations and government organizations. The FBI Director Christopher Wray in 2018 provided testimony before Congress talking about Confucius Institutes and how they really are a propaganda arm of the Communist Party of China. They're very, very dangerous organizations. They are designed specifically to try to convince younger people very slowly, very coercively, to believe that China isn't so bad, that the Chinese Communist Party is good, that there's really nothing to worry about related to China. They sponsor trips to China. They have classes. They have a tendency to focus on cultural issues and language and food and art and things like that. That's kind of how they draw people in. But then they provide people with a whole lot of Chinese Communist Party propaganda once they get kids through the door. So it's a really, really dangerous organization or network of organizations. According to the National Association of Scholars, which is another fantastic organization, by the way, there are, as of May 1st, 2020, 86 Confucius Institutes in the United States. That includes 6 that are scheduled to close in the summer of 2020. They're at major institutions all across the country. To give you some sense of just how pervasive the problem is, the National Association of Scholars keeps a running list of where these organizations are situated. So this is just really sort of a quick rundown. I'm going to go through just some of these just to give you a sense of where these things are. Georgia State University, Purdue University, Kansas State University, Stanford University, Wayne State University, University of North Carolina, Charlotte, University of Nebraska, University of New Hampshire, Rutgers, New Jersey City, Pace University, Alfred University, Stony Brook University. The list goes on and on and on. As I said before, 86 institutions all across the country, and not just at higher educational institutions either. There's actually some Confucius Institutes that have relationships with public school systems, K through 12 public school systems, which is terrifying in and of itself. The Chicago public school system actually has a relationship with the Confucius Institute. So this is a very serious issue. It needs to be dealt with. We need to close all of these Confucius Institutes immediately. I'm all for academic freedom. I am. I'm not one to say, well, we have to start shutting down all of these various institutions that have ideas that I disagree with. I'm all for people having free association, coming together and discussing issues that they care about. But we can't allow foreign countries to come into the United States and create propaganda centers and spread them all throughout the United States. We just can't allow that to happen. And that's exactly what's happening here. To allow the Chinese Communist Party to set up propaganda institutions all across the country is absolutely ridiculous and absurd. We cannot allow this to happen. We have to stand up against these Confucius Institutes to ensure that our young people are not being indoctrinated with false claims from the Chinese Communist Party. And we've seen the damage that the Chinese Communist Party can do. I mean, everyone knows that over the past 100 years, or everyone should know, millions and millions of people, tens of millions of people have died at the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, we're talking about more than 50 million people. The Chinese Communist Party has killed more people than the Nazis. It's not even close. They are an extremely dangerous political party. It's not about the people of China, and the college Republicans and college Democrats in their letter wanted to make that clear. This isn't an anti-Chinese thing. It's not about Chinese people. It's about the Chinese Communist Party. It's about a political organization, and not just a political organization, about a government, essentially, that's using its power and its money and its influence to try to trick people into believing that it's actually not as bad as it really is. There's this report that the National Association of Scholars put out. It's by Rochelle Peterson. It's called Outsourced to China, Confucius Institutes and Soft Power in American Higher Education. It was published in 2017. I encourage you to go check that out. It's a great report. Lots of really good information. She sort of summarizes the four major, most disconcerting aspects of Confucius Institutes. And the first is intellectual freedom. She says that the sort of official Chinese government policy requires Confucius Institutes to adhere to Chinese law, including speech codes. Chinese teachers hired, paid by, and accountable to the Chinese government face pressures to avoid sensitive topics, and American professors report pressure to self-censor. There's also issues related to transparency. Obviously, we don't know a whole lot about these institutions. There's entanglement. Confucius Institutes are central nodes in a complex system of relationships with China. This is from Rochelle Peterson. Confucius Institutes attract, she says, Confucius Institutes attract full tuition-paying Chinese students, fund scholarships for American students to study abroad, and offer other resources. Universities with financial incentives to please China find it more difficult to criticize Chinese policies as a result of these financial relationships. It makes sense, right? If you're getting money from the Chinese Communist Party through Confucius Institutes, then you're less likely to criticize the Chinese Communist Party, right? That's why you do this kind of thing. It's not just about indoctrinating kids. It's also about building financial relationships with people so that it makes it more difficult to criticize them. And then, of course, the fourth issue she lists is soft power. And she says Confucius Institutes tend to present China in a positive light and tend to focus on anodyne aspects of Chinese culture. They avoid Chinese political history and human rights abuses, present Taiwan and Tibet as undisputed territories of China, and develop a generation of American students with selective knowledge of a major country. And she, of course, then goes on to recommend that all universities close their Confucius Institutes, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Again, this isn't about academic freedom. This is about propaganda. This is about allowing a foreign nation to conduct propaganda campaigns in the United States of America. If American citizens want to get together and praise the Communist China, the Communist Party of China, they are most free to do so, and we are completely free to call them out on it. But we cannot allow foreign governments to influence our young people. We can't allow foreign governments to influence our elections. We can't allow foreign governments to be involved in our nation and set the tone for our nation and what people learn and what they don't learn. And we just can't allow this kind of thing to go on. So we at StoppingSocialism.com are very concerned about this. We're taking a really hard look at it. We're studying everything we can get our hands on for this. if you're interested in learning more about it, don't go to stoppingsocialism.com. We don't have a whole lot of information about this there yet. At some point we will, but we don't just yet. Go to the National Association of Scholars, look for the Outsourced to China report, and go to campusreform.com and check out all of the resources that they have. Sorry, it's campusreform.org. And check out all the resources that they have there. Please read the article that was posted yesterday by Celine Ryan, and share this information far and wide with everybody that you possibly can, because this is such an important issue and we need to get ahead of it. If we're going to stop socialism in the United States, it has to start with stopping Chinese propaganda efforts. We're never going to be successful if we're allowing the Communist Party of China to indoctrinate our young people. Thank you for watching or listening, if you're listening on the podcast, to another episode of 15 Minutes of Freedom. I actually managed to get it under 15 minutes this time, so we should all be happy for that. Please share this content far and wide. Subscribe to our Facebook page. Subscribe to the Stopping Socialism YouTube channel. And until next time, I'm Justin Haskins. Stay free.